All right, it's the last edition of Political Voice for the week, as today is Friday and the weekend is upon us. Well, I say welcome to Political Voice. I'm Moses Humphrey. Now, the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, the Minister, Nyesom Wike, has announced the revocation of 167 plots of land in some highbrow districts of the nation's capital, Abuja. Areas affected are Maitama, Gudu, Wuye, which had the highest revocation. We actually had 41 revocations. Katankbe's extension and others are Sokoro, which had the second highest revocation. That is 39 highest, second highest. Now, in a notice issued yesterday in Abuja, the administration said the plots were revoked due to the refusal or failure of their allottees to develop them. Now, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, hereby informs the general public. Now, this is an excerpt of that order. It says the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, hereby informs the general public that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has, in the exercise of his powers conferred on him under the Land Use Act 1978, revoked the plots with names and titles as reflected in our records for continued contravention of the terms of development of the right of occupancy, to wit, non-development. Now, the administration said in the notice signed by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Olushade Adeshola, some of the plots revoked in Maitama District A05 had names like Leah Limoke, Musa Aboki Ego. In Jabi, some of the plots revoked had allottees names such as Sam Nda Isaiah and Donabari Josephine Kogbara, while Katankbe District had Peter Gregory Obi and Boa International, among others. Now, I have a guest with me in the studio, and we're trying to make sense of this whole event unfolding in the nation's capital, Abuja. I have with me in the studio Moses Adebayo. Well, he prefers I call his name in full, which is Moses Orisha-Jolomi Adebayo. He's a titled man.
Now you are speaking. Otherwise, you would have been fined.
Welcome to Political Voice.
Moses, and to the watching world, I greet you, everybody.
All right. Now, would you? A school of thought now is peddling the revocation of properties that have not been developed by the minister of the FCT as politically motivated. What do you make of it? What are your thoughts?
Since the news broke yesterday, spin doctors of all shades and forms and type have gone to town with all manner of meanings, nuances, speculations, and what have you. I think what really made this a headline across board today should be the fact that a certain Peter Gregory Obi, his name is there, and his land has been revoked.
That's Peter Obi of the Labour Party.
Peter Gregory Obi. Peter Obi is so popular that just type P on your Google search. Hope I'm not advertising. You get almost immediately Peter Obi is the preeminent name. So he's a newsmaker, no doubt about that. I think Wike, is this a case of witch hunt? Is it just brazen vendetta? Or is just acting as he should as minister? Because on inauguration day on August 22nd, when he was sworn in as a minister after his ratification from the House of Senate, he made it clear and he kept emphasizing, I'll bring them down. I'll bring them down. You know how boisterous, how feisty Wike can be. And he made it clear that he's not going to bring houses down because he doesn't like the face of the owners or revoke their license because they've not worked on it for 15 years because there are rules concerning that. But if they've infringed on the law, if they've contravened Land Use Act as it concerns Abuja and distorted their much vaunted master plan, then it's going to be El Rufai's way. Even almost identified that after Rufai, nothing has happened in Abuja. Wike now. But I'm not going to sit down here and give verdicts or tell whether he was wrong or right. No, it's not in my position here. But let's put it this way. There are certainly going to be reactions, as we've had, on political undertones. Was it because Peter Obi was involved? And some names you also mentioned are people of political interest, like Lee Elimoke, former governor of Cross River State, and I think he's still a member of the PDP. So there are bound to be shades of thoughts, school of thoughts. People, even if you had done it because of the past conferred on him by the Land Use Act of the 70s, it's only natural for people to respond that maybe it's just witch hunting. So I'm not going to tell whether it's witch hunting anybody or not.
All right. So, but he did say that people who have owned properties for a period of time and have not developed it should come, make their case, and then they'll see what to do about it. He actually put that forward.
And he gave an ultimatum for 2 weeks.
Yes, there was an ultimatum. Now, so should we now blame those whose properties have been revoked for not meeting up with the ultimatum?
Well, we are a country with a ground norm, the Constitution of the 1999 as amended. We are ruled by laws. We are guided by our own laws by which we've crafted through our Constituent Assembly. If he gave the timeline or deadline of 2 weeks, ultimatum, if you choose to say, he may have some point.
Was 2 weeks enough?
Okay, let me put it this way.
Looking at the number of properties, which will also affect the cases that will come before the minister, was that too short a time?
On the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, if you consider the nuisance some of these buildings, uncompleted buildings have become, then you may even say maybe 2 weeks was even too long. You know why? I travel fast. I move from one place to another, especially within the country. And sometimes you get a bit miffed, irritated that what has become of some so-called places? Are there no town planners, city planners? Been to Abuja on occasions, though not for politics, or for business, pure business, And you imagine that this is the Abuja they always talk about, Maitama, Asokoro, Kuru, and whichever place now. And they don't really live up to expectation. You have many uncompleted, as I've said, buildings where it has turned to be a den of robbers. And security over there is always as an on the red. You can't just be secure. And it does not end with Abuja alone. If I go, Lagos and many other places, it's always a place, it's a kind of haven for these hoodlums, these
uncompleted buildings and all.
And yes, if that alone is the reason he wants sanity in Abuja, I think he has a valid point.
Now, these are not just uncompleted structures or structures that were blocking the passage of water. These are land that have been purchased but not developed over a period of time, 15 years. Now, should there be, I know the law says one thing,
true,
but should there be a human face in a situation whereby properties are developed and fenced, properties are acquired and fenced but not developed? Would that destroy the beauty of an area if it's not if structures are not placed on it?
If what those untouched structure, land, whichever they call now, if suddenly they become pernicious to the society and become harmful to collective well-being, then being seen from an angle of the human face may just be pure sentiment. Again and again, you can't wish away all that comes from our special children. They are homeless, they are destitute, they are despondent, they find solace in some of these, and they carry out all manner of inaction, as in all manner of unlawful activities. That's what those buildings or those unused land over time. I once spoke with one security expert in the country. That's Kabiru, is it Aziz now? But he's based in Kaduna. I spoke with him and he said something like, the reason terrorism, banditry, kidnapping thrive when there are many ungoverned spaces. I'm only using it as an analogy now. Ungoverned, as it meant, expanse of land that are enough to accommodate, in fact, that can be called city lands. But if I bring it lower here, all these unmanned spaces, in quote now, all these abandoned projects, all these uncompleted buildings, all these lands that have been fenced but nothing has happened afterwards, they are easily converted to safe havens. I mean, at the risk of overflowing that particular word, they've become a hideout for these people. You pass by somewhere in Lagos where I work, you pass by someone completely and the place reeks of marijuana. Moses, they smoke there as though tomorrow will never come. And once they are high, they do a man of evil. It's also a place where they rape. It's also a place where you can always be at the mercy of some guys that are trigger happy. They have all man. I can't overstate. I can't emphasize the danger and many evil that come from uncompleted buildings, abandoned structures, and like that. So if he's taking action, he's not only doing that to make the aesthetics of Abuja something to behold, but he's equally saving lives. Lives have been lost by virtue of these buildings that have harbored criminals, those that lay hands on unsuspecting members of society. So, to say from an human angle point, maybe it's just sentimental.
Okay. Now we have, there have been talks that if the minister of the FCT, yes, Wike wants to work, there are other things, there are places where he should start. Now, the school of thought feels he should start from the Asura Villa, because the villa, the structure of the villa, where it sits, was not in the master plan.
Would you demolish your house, I ask you?
Now, so if he's not demolishing, if he talks about restoring the master plan, and then we know that the seat of power itself, the Asura Villa, sits on a plot of land or a piece of land that was not originally in the master plan, isn't that
double standards,
causing your nose to spite your face, or not doing what you should be doing, really?
Let me come from a political point of view now. I said at the very beginning that all manner of spin doctors have been mad since 48 hours ago when this news broke. And don't forget the recently given verdict from the tribunal concerning the presidential election. Suddenly, groups sprang up, saying that, okay, if Abuja that you knocked out, or you feel Abuja hasn't gotten some special beans or special status conferred on them, because that was one of the verdicts of the judges, they start clamoring for, okay, we want to be like other states too. Can we get our own governors, or governor rather? Can we get our normal 10 districts to represent us in the House of Rep, like in other states? We have 360 House of Rep members, 10 from each state. Can we get 3 senators as against the one they have? So there are clamors. So when issues like this happen, it's a classical case of the witch cried last night and the child died the following morning. So they are bound to say all manner of things concerning, and I must admit that it's quite rather novel to me, that Asura was built on, in quote now, an illegal ground. Has Wike done anything substantial? Yes, Wike's person hasn't helped his case either. We know how, as I've said, boisterous, how sometimes uncouth Wike can be. But he gets the job done. Is he doing the right thing right now? Well, at the risk of sounding Hitler-esque or maybe Stalin-like, we understand how the country is right now. Oh, yes. And I've read reports from residents of Abuja who are saying, oh, yes, this may be lawful. It may be right for you to ensure that the master plan of Abuja is restored. But what about the situation we are going through right now? Can't you just put it forward? As I've said, the expediency of the demolition is what really triggers emotion. Why can't you wait? Knowing that right now things are just hard, and that is understating it. Things are terribly hard. But when you consider the length of time, 15 years plus, that's some time. So if in 2 weeks he's taking action, Well, as I've said, the law will prevail. We are a lawful country. So the law may be prevailing here. Yes, we can always, or as in, apply the brakes. It's one thing for you to have the law within you, but as someone will say from a scripture I know, the spirit of that man acting is subject to him. He can as well exercise self-control. He can as well do that. But he has to do something right now. He should go ahead. As well as being on an illegal ground, well, that's a matter for another day to discuss.
Well, still talking about the restoring the master plan of the FCT. Daniel Bwala, who is the spokesperson for the the Atiku Presidential Campaign Council, made some observations. He pointed to some things. He also said that the military barracks that one sees around the FCT were not in the original master plan. These were structures that were thought to be necessary when they were put up. They were not in the original master plan. He also talked about, he said, he talked about the Asura Villa. Okay, he pointed out that one. And then he talked about the famous Asokoro. He says, when you hear about government houses, a government extension, places where government officials have their liaison offices, these places were not part of the original master plan. So when we talk about the master plan, is it beginning to seem like we're using the guise of restoring a master plan to attack individuals, and governments take back properties? Government take back properties that it had hitherto sold to individuals. Because yes, it is. We know that the government is the owner of the land.
All land belongs to the federal government.
All land, yes. So the government can take it back. But now, when you have collected monies, and because these individuals probably don't have the money to develop just yet, you are taking them back. What do you make of that? Really?
Anyway, if the most I've paid to acquire such land,
of course,
it will only be of natural justice that if you are revoking the licenses, then you start thinking of maybe giving them back their money. And you know that what you bought 15 years ago would have increased, appreciated, because if there is an asset that our accountants will teach us that appreciates a lot, that's land. It used to be a case where Lekki was a forgotten area. Then you could purchase land in Lekki for as paltry as 50,000 naira. But today, you know what we are saying. Who made that statement? Who? Daniel Bwala of the PDP, a party that has lost all manner of ground with Wike. Wike still poses himself as a PDP man. He even claimed that he wrote to officials before he accepted to be a minister under Tinubu, though officials of PDP have come out to say they never saw any letter of such. So their politics is happening here. There as in across the intentions, whether good or ill, politics is reeking here. And let me put it this way again. Wike will do his job, but he will surely by virtue of his person, attract all manner of flags from opposition, all manner of commendation from his supporters. Bwala saying this, as I've said again and again. Okay, let me go back to even 1976, when the committee led by Dr. Akinola Abuja sat and eventually felt, okay, Abuja is central enough to be the federal capital territory under Murtala Ramat Mohammed, our then head of state. So they agreed that Abuja will be. Then about almost 25 years after, they relocated to Abuja under Babangida's vision. They had really, I've been privileged on occasions to see one or two things about what they wanted Abuja to look like. They wanted to fashion it among some of these biggest capitals in the world. Washington, D.C. was a model for them. So they had plans. Okay. But are those plans, the architectural plan, are they still available in hard copy? Well, if we're in serious country, it should be available. Maybe that's what Wike is working with. So the naughty issue of where the barracks are situated, where Asura itself is placed.
You call it naughty issues?
Yes, you can't give a straight answer to them. Will they demolish Asura? Well, if Asura, now read my lips, contravenes the laws of the master plan, Asura should be demolished.
All right, so in haven't read your lips.
You got my sarcasm, right?
Let me haven't read your lips. Do you see the possibility of that being done, knowing what went into the building of Asura when it was put up?
Have you been to Mount Everest before? It took the Nepalese man, Sherpa, and the Norwegian now, no, Australian, Tenzin. The two of them, two men in May 1953. They did what no other human being before them would ever do. They ascended and they got to the very peak of Mount Everest. Before them, thousands and thousands of people had attempted that. They didn't get it done. But they broke that record. And after them, they ushered in a golden age whereby to ascend Mount Everest, 3, 4, 5, 7 names have recorded the record. The Mount Everest analogy should tell you that to get to the very zenith of such a mountain, the highest point on earth, is almost impossible. To demolish Asura, if you consider what Asura stands for, will almost be impossible. Look, laws are made for men.
Now, if that is impossible, then can we say that in actual fact, restoring Abuja to the master plan is not something that can be achieved without compromise?
Maybe 100% achieved, yes. But as I was saying before you broke into my line of thought, laws are made for men. And when such laws suddenly become a menace or suddenly become what you never envisaged, then it's just natural for you to amend the laws. For a place like Abuja and Asura, even if they blatantly, brazenly contravene the Land Use Act, there will still be a kind of going about it. They will. It's in their powers to do. So Asura will not go down. Will you restore the master plan of Abuja? Abuja, don't forget, isn't a case of just about the Asura. We have the National Assembly building there, a complex. We even have the Supreme Court justices who operate in Abuja, the Supreme Court of Abuja. So if all of these places, just saying, if all of these places are found culpable with respect to the Land Use Act, really they won't be taken down. They won't. Not even if the opposition is in power. They know what these buildings symbolize, what it will cost them. So they will work with the powers they have to prevail over the law. As I've said, law was made for man, not man for law. So once any kind of legislation, natural or man-made, once it is not convenient for that man who made the law in the first place. You know, my Igbo brothers have this adage. When the idol you made with your hands start behaving as if it's bigger than you, you have to remind him that you went to the forest to cut down a wood, you carved it out.
You were going to say that in Igbo so that I get to understand better.
Only that I don't want to, because I know many are watching, I don't want to turntable, I say shake tables.
Okay.
So when some laws made by men suddenly become encumbrances to man, man has the right to jettison such law or amend it. So for the sake of Asura,
in essence, for the sake of certain structures, the law will be bent,
yes,
and for others, the law will be enforced.
You know, I know you to be wily, so I will not fall for your bait. I will not fall for your trap. I will not fall.
No, but that's what it is.
You know, in life.
So it's sauce for the goose.
In life.
Not sauce for the.
In life, there are degrees of things, as in how important. As more now, you know, some people they are indispensable to you. You can't do without them. And you know some people that you can as well just postpone their calls. Maybe you got a call and you missed a call and I'll call you later. And there are some that you don't even have much regard for them. My simple take is that all animals will be equal, according to 1984 classic.
Some animals are more equal than others.
More equal than others.
All right then. Animal Farm. Okay. Thanks for taking us back to that.
School. I'm an educationist.
That literature. Animal Farm. Okay. Now, as it is now, now that individuals have been affected, companies have been affected, Boa Company, I don't know if it's Boa Group,
but it's a group.
One of the firms now has been affected. Can they seek compensation?
Inevitably, they will go to court because my problem with land issues is that it could take an entire lifetime. I read the reports 2-3 years ago, how the Supreme Court eventually gave their verdict, which of course cannot be improved upon. They have the final say. But what really caught my attention was the fact that it had been a land, as in land brouhaha for almost, hear me, 75-80 years. Such that virtually all the people that started the tussle, legal tussle, are no more. It now fell on their grandchildren, not even children now, grandchildren, to get the verdict. So when it comes to land issue, it can drag forever. It can drag forever. So will they get compensation? They may get it later. They may even, yes, it may be so sure that they will get compensation. But when?
You're sure they will?
They will. They will. They said, as I said, the wheel of justice grinds slow but surely. So sometimes some generation would have passed away. I think Israel, the old Israel, for example, virtually all that left Egypt never got to the promised land. In fact, there are children that got there. So sometimes when it comes to land issue, those affected, they know very well that this can drag on forever. Will they get justice? If we are truly saying, if we are truly a society that is governed, they should get justice. They should get compensated. So, but the time frame you can never guarantee. This is not some electoral matter that you have to decide in 180 days. And now I'm shaking some tables now. Or if you have to appeal 60 days, this could take 60 years.
But some would say, why compensation when you've been told that, look, you'll be given 2 weeks to verify your papers? So
now,
why,
you are going back to your own question, but you are twisting it. You know what? You said earlier how that...
now I'm asking you the question.
Of course, and I'm answering you as well. It's a kind of rebuttal. Why should they be compensated when they've been given notice?
If they were given the notice.
He gave them notice. He said that categorically.
And if they flouted it?
Pardon?
If they flouted.
Fine. Again, it still boils down to what are the consequences of those land revoked after 15 years of non-usage? What do they really pose to society? Yes, we can't rule out the fact that they've taken back their land. The federal government, if I use that colloquially, they also will know that, well, these people that bought the land, whether as a group or as individuals, they paid some money. Okay, if we are taking back our land, there must be a part of the law that will tell, okay, you know, in law, let me not sound like one attorney general now, there is what you call, there is this aspect whereby if you have a contract with someone, but if force majeure comes in, you have every reason to possibly breach the contract. When conditions beyond human abilities, when conditions beyond your thinking that you never envisage, when they creep in such that it stops you from doing any further taking further action, then that will be considered as well. Will they be compensated? Of course it should be. They should be. I can say that clearly. Those that own the land, that never made use of it or have abandoned buildings on them, they paid.
Now,
and if they can consider a CFO.
There are also talks that some individuals purchase land knowing the value of it, knowing that there are mineral resources on the land, and they purchase it only to mine those resources, and they mine for as long as they can. And when they are done, they resell. That way, they are not contravening any law because they are mining on their own land. Do you think that is probably a case that played out or that has played out in some of the properties that have been purchased and not developed over time?
Straight away, I answer this way. I remember when I lived in a particular part of Lagos, town, it was said that that particular location, that particular geography of land, they discovered oil there. And before long, it got to the government. They told them on the spot that, well, all land belongs to the federal government. I know for sure that they compensated those that own the land, but government took over that immediately. They took over the land immediately. But they paid also almost immediately, as in they compensated them. We've always said that we want to diversify. We don't want to remain a mono product economy. If mines, if black gold, yellow gold, if natural resources that will aid our economy, if they are found on in some location, it's just natural for government to now exercise their power. But what makes an average Nigerian get disturbed is, will they compensate them? Take the season we are in right. For example, Metro News, NEMA, all bodies concerned with weather, climate, and what have you, they will warn, the rainfall this year will be torrential, we will have flash flood, they may destroy lives, so please relocate. But when you tell them to relocate, where are they relocating to? Where are they going? So you have every right, because you are speaking, this is the voice of the people, you have every right to feel worried that, will these people be duly compensated? Will they? Well, if it's a government that has, because government that's a government does not mean they lack conscience. They should pay them back. As I said earlier, for how long will it take? For how long will it take? So it's a news because some politicians are involved. And I don't know, I'm not asking you, but rhetorically, if this particular action or steps taken by the federal government, if some names are not involved, do you think it would have been made news?
Of course it will make news, because everything, since Wike became the minister of the FCT, everything he has said has made news. When he came out to say, look, properties will be brought down, and the way he said
and you said it very well, brought down, brought down.
You had to say that, for it to have that power, you have to say the way, his vocal dexterity can carry it. So everything he says makes news, and so yes. So I believe, if you're asking me now, I think it would have made news regardless of the names involved. Anyway, let's wrap up this part of the show, as we have another topic that we'll be touching on. Our second topic for today borders on legislative officers being found entangled in issues of insecurity in a state. Now, operatives of the Department of State Services, State Security Services, on Wednesday reportedly arrested a member of the Ogun State House of Assembly representing Shagamu constituency, Honorable Damilare Mohammed, and 6 others suspected cultists within the lawmakers' legislative quarters, Abeokuta, the state capital. Mohammed was alleged to have been providing shelter to the 6 fleeing suspected cultists who were allegedly fingered in the recent 4 days of clashes among rival cult groups in Shagamu, which has claimed 8 lives. Now, the state government, in a release sent to newsmen on Thursday morning, says the member representing Shagamu State Constituency 1, Honorable Damilare Bello Mohammed, was alleged to have provided shelter to the fleeing cultist. A team of security operatives in a sting operation after a tip-off arrested the suspects in the premises of the lawmaker. Oh well. And then they also found weapons, guns, in their possession. Now, Moses, cult activities and their affiliation to certain people in government. This is an age-long relationship. Don't you think we should have found a way to curb it now? But as it is, we are still having issues of government officials being connected to cult activities. What do you make of that, please?
You know that for every earthquake that happens, as unfortunately that happened in Morocco recently, even after the earthquake has subsided, there will always be tremor, like a kind of an aftermath of the earthquake, though on a smaller scale now. How come that after every election cycle, we have some of these things? It's almost becoming a trend. So you can put 1 and 2 together to get to 3. When you go by the report in the news over the past 72 hours now, you can tell yourself that activities like this are not carried out by people who are not, as in who haven't got the wherewithal. Some of the weapons they use to carry out these dastardly acts, even some trained officers in the army, navy, or wherever, would be envious of them. How do these guys get this? To put it straight, Ogun State has become almost the headquarters of all manner of cultist activities. You can go back in April 2022, about 7-8 people died when the governor came out that they need federal government's help and might. There are 13 tertiary institutions, government-owned institutions in Ogun State, 13 of them. And these are schools that, as an educationist, I know what I'm talking about here. I have students across board, of course, all over the country for higher institution, education. I've always been concerned about what goes on in Ogun State with respect to these tertiary institutions. You wonder why, at a point, EFCC almost had an extension of an office in Ogun State. They were always raiding the campuses every time. It became a way of life for them. So something must be happening. It's a place of political interest, a place of societal interest. What happens? And to put it straight, like New York, like New Jersey, they are contiguous. Lagos and Ogun State, they are almost inseparable. Whatever happens in Ogun State will surely find its way into Lagos State. But then we are not only concerned because we live in Lagos. It's a collective concern. Nigerians are involved. Lives are involved here. 8 members of call group, and you know how ridiculous these things can sound. Sometimes you hear them. We go out there, we hear what's up on the street. How that you hear it's now 2-1. You may even think it's a football match that's going on. Oh, who scored? Who is beating Arsenal? As they get beaten all the time. Arsenal, I mean, your club side.
You had to do that.
Oh, sorry, we're talking something very important. You wonder, what are you talking about? You now get to hear that actually they are counting the number of lives lost on both sides, or even on 3 sides. You wonder, so lives have become so cheapened that you can now equate them to score lines. It's alarming. It's disturbing. The House of Rep member involved. Now, other things will crop up. As I'm informed, I think he's a member of the opposition. And Ogun State right now is not the best place where friends are made. You consider how the incumbent won a second term. The tribunals are still working. They've not even given a verdict. It's on and on that PDP, APC, they are at loggerheads. Not too long ago, a particular local government chairman, Wale Adedeji, I guess, of one of their local government there, the name eludes me now, was impeached. All because he raised an alarm. He told the world that the grant, the aid, loan from the federal government was not properly channeled to other local governments where they were meant for, that the governor did this and that, made it something personal. So you can bring all of this together with respect to the House of Rep member arrested, because people are, we are a kind of people that we have all manner of interpretation. Even when some issues are so natural of their own, we have reasons to see it from different points. And that's because our emotions are always raw, especially after major elections. What will happen to from your prologue here, you made it clear that they found out that he actually was sheltering 6 of the suspects.
Yes, that were on the run.
That is a very, very strong case. And by the way, the honorable member Damilare, the man in question now, Bello, he was also part of. It was said that he instigated.
He masterminded.
Masterminded. Thank you. During the cash crunch.
Yes.
Whereby vandalism was on the rise. Youths took up arms. They burnt banks. They destroyed places of interest, and he was fingered as well. That he masterminded them. He led them through. So such a man hasn't got optics on him very right now. And the little I know about law, if you're a first-time offender, maybe you get some emotion, some pity, even from the jury. But if you have become a habitual recidivist, there is no way you want to be allowed to let go.
All right, let's just not too long ago, very recently, he was appointed chairman House Committee on Public Account and vice chairman Youth Sports Committee in Ogun State. Do you think this revelation, this current revelation, will have any impact on his position as a lawmaker and the committees that he's been appointed to chair?
It's like begging the question. You mentioned that one of his titles right now is the Vice Chairman of House of Assembly on Youth.
Vice Chairman, Youth Sports Committee.
Oh, fine. Youth sports and whatever you put them when you put them together will always involve youth, as in fresh-blooded or warm-blooded youth. He must have access to the youth. He must, going by his appellation. And has it been plying them for what is right or manipulating them to do what is wrong? Well, that is now for the courts, if he's prosecuted, to determine, because he's still a suspect anyway. And we are only jurists when it comes to the court of public opinion. But when he has to face the law, if he has to, by virtue of prosecution, then he may have some questions on. So, if at the risk of maybe overstating it, the fact that he has access to youth is something of interest. It's something we can work with. Has he been making use of those youth to destroy things, or is he vice chairman because he is empowering youth and making them see life from a better point of view? Is it their chairman or vice chairman, their leader, and is influencing them for the wrong? Because these are things that those that will prosecute eventually, these are evidence they may tender against him. But don't forget again, said he is a member of the opposition party. So it has so many coloration, so many. But all the same, the law must take its due course. He is a suspect. He was found to have sheltered 6 suspects as well. Then there's a case here. But let the courts determine if DSS will prosecute.
All right. Well, that's if the DSS will prosecute. That's a big question. And if they do, will it have any serious implication on his political career?
Yes, it should. But when we consider our antecedents with respect to how powerful people, Damilare Bello isn't a stellar name in that sense. Damilare, who you ask yourself, but it's a House of Rep member. You have this feeling that after elections, weapons fly around. They fly around. Who are those that engage this youth, these thugs, these urchins? Politicians, of course. And you also have this gut feeling that it could be a case where maybe the honorable there is just serving or doing some proxy job. At the end of the day, have we ever really seen the end of cases that involve politicians and courtesan? Not really. So they are bound. It's normal that people are skeptical, that they express cynicism. What will come out of it is a politician. It may just be a call away from a very important person who should not even be seen as important by virtue of the vices and mayhem they unleash on society. But they are powerful. We can't deny that. It would be naive of me to come here and tell everyone listening, educate, inform that it's a case that...
Well, should that be the case, really? Sorry to interrupt you there. Should the politicians be more powerful than the laws of the land? Because that's what it's beginning to look like. Should that be the case?
In a universe where planets orbit clockwise, where things are normal, it should be yes. You shouldn't be above the law. Just for some ridiculous amount, not even up to £10,000, saw Boris Johnson out of office. They just spent some things that easily will pass for nothing. But once you're a public servant, a politician especially now, you can't afford to do just anything. It may destroy, it may consume you. David Cameron was rather careless. He felt, Brexit was just something they would whisk through.
So has the powers of the electorates in Nigeria dwindled to the point where the electorate cannot handle their political office holders?
Don't forget that we are done with politics now. Governance should follow. Take Dino Melaye, for example. There was time it was almost going to be a case where we make the wrong history, as he has always been something, of being the first senator to be recalled. The process was initiated, but it died naturally. Now, why have I used this? The electorate, they voted. And I know, I can say unequivocally that the last elections, votes counted. I can say that, yes, it depends on the side of the divide you are in or on, but I can tell that what the things I monitored, elections counted. Many governors that controlled, that ruled, that govern a whole state could not get a third, that is a senatorial district. They couldn't win. So that tells you that election, I learned of a bike rider, an Okada rider, if you call it in fact, won an election somewhere in the north. So elections counted. Electorate, we have the power. Our powers is in fact that we are a republic. We can do and undo. We put them there, we can bring them out. But the process will always be hijacked. These politicians are smart, if not deadly smart. They are really smart. They know how to go about things. Is Nigeria ever going to make a scapegoat of anyone who infringed on the law? Well, the questions pile up. Arimasha comes to mind. You can go further back, Bola Ige, Funshaw Williams, even Dele Giwa, and on. Nigeria is a place where even when such evil acts have been carried out, and when there are indications that somebody somewhere pulled the string, we still will not, as a well-respected, highly revered broadcaster will say, St. Jones, we don't punish bad behavior here. Rather, we let them go and they become stronger and have the power to perpetrate even more evil, to carry out more wicked acts, because they have never been precedents. We don't have someone that will serve, that will tell others, that will serve as a deterrent. So in this case, Honorable Bello, a politician, will have some numbers. Yes, those suspects may now bear the brunt, but somehow he may just find himself off the hook, and it's unfortunate if that's going to happen.
All right, then. Well, this is how far we can go today. Thank you very much, Moses Orisha-Jolomi Adebayo, for coming on the program.
Always a pleasure, and I trust, I hope, and I believe that as we listen to programs like this, as we lend our voices to national issue, let whoever is listening, watching, being educated, being informed, let them also play their part. We are here to ensure that society is well governed at all levels of government. So let's make use of some of the things we say here and see Nigeria become a better place. Good morning.
All right, then. Thank you once again. Well, that's the show for today. We do hope that in cases where justice needs to be served, at least for those who have lost loved ones, we do hope that justice will be served. On behalf of the team, I am Moses Humphrey saying thank you for watching. You can follow up on this show and other shows up on our YouTube page. It's Voice of the People TV up on YouTube. We'd like for you to subscribe and follow us. Engage with us. All right? Have yourselves a beautiful day. Bye for now.